a lot of information. So we are going to start by doing a Mangalacharan, and let's start. Om Agyanti Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantika Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namasute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Kriya Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaivacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langha Degvim Yatripadamaham Vande Shri Guru Dina Dharanam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tatsam. All right, so basically let's start from where is Ayodhya in the spiritual world. Okay, so basically there are innumerable Vaikuntha planets, and in every planet there is a predominating deity who is an expansion of Lord Vishnu. He has 3 expansions, and there are quadruple expansions, and then there are servants, and then there are devotees, like that. So basically, to reach up to the Goloka Vrindavan, there are different layers that we have to cross, and on the way comes Ayodhya. So the way we have Ayodhya here, we have Ayodhya back there in the spiritual world also. And in that Ayodhya, Lord Sri Ramchandra, Lakshman, Bharat, Shatrughna, all the characters that we hear from Ramayana, they all are present eternally. They are the eternal citizens of Ayodhya there. From there, from that eternal planet of Lord Ramchandra, Ayodhya, which is before Goloka, on the way to Goloka, from there expands his Rama avatar. From that Lord Ramchandra, his expansion is the Rama avatar through the Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, because we know that all the incarnations come from the Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. Now, in every Treta Yuga, we know that there is a Rama avatar. So, we may think that, it's so boring, same story every time. But the beauty about Krishna Katha is that it is never boring. Now also, presently also, wherever you see that Krishna Katha is going on, there are people, they have Bhagavad Saptas, they have Ramayana classes going on back in India, and here also, everywhere, and people never get bored. So we get to hear and we learn everything. Every time we learn something new. So we may feel that the story is the same, but it is not boring. It is very interesting because that's how Krishna is, very interesting, So coming back to Lord Ramchandra's appearance, actually, do you know that in so many different countries, Lord Ram is well known. In actually Malaysia, they have their own Ramayana. In Thailand, in Jamaica, in Africa, everywhere they have different variation, little variation. Like, in Indonesia, the Indonesian Ravan, he's basically a big crocodile, and they carry him on sticks. In Bangkok, in Thailand, the roads are named as Rama 1, Rama 2, Rama 3, like that, And then the capital of Thailand is also known as Ayodhya, by the same name. In fact, the present king is also known by the name of Rama. So it's very well known. People are aware of it, and it's been continuing, because it's an eternal pastime. Lord Krishna, Lord Ramchandra is eternally present, and he is the supreme Lord. And there are different places where we can hear about the stories of Lord Ramchandra with a little variation here and there. Now, how exactly did Lord Ramchandra appear? That is what we are going to learn today. So it's not that you, I mean, it's the basic concept is the same, but we'll do with little more details. So Lord Ramchandra, which dynasty did he appear in? He appeared in Ikshvaku dynasty. Okay. So he is known as Ikshvaku Kula Dhan. What is Kula Dhan? Kula means the dynasty and Dhan means the property. So basically, he is considered to be a valuable jewel of Ikshvaku dynasty. Then Dashrath Maharaj, he is, you know why is he known as Dashrath? What does the word Dashrath mean? Basically, Dashrath was known so because he could fight in 10 directions. In 10 directions simultaneously he could fight. He was so powerful, he was so strong that even the devas would seek his help. At times, Lord Indra would summon him to fight for him. So Dashrath, when he would go to heavenly planets and he would fight with the demons for Lord, for Lord Indra. So these demons, they were so expert with Maya that they would create darkness, they would expand into various forms, and sometimes they would appear here, sometimes they would appear there. So in different directions, they were present at the same time. And Dashrath Maharaj, because he could fight in 10 different directions simultaneously, so it looked as if he is on 10 rathas, 10 chariots at the same time. So that is why the word Dashrath means, Dash means 10 and Rath means chariot. So that's how he got the name Dashrath. Now this king Dashrath, he was very famous, as we just understood, for his fighting. He would even fight for the demigods, and he was a very righteous king. He married Kaushalya Devi. Now Kaushalya Devi had a daughter. First was the daughter by the name of Shanta. Shanta or Shanti. Sometimes Shanti known as, sometimes Shanta, but the meaning was same, peace. So Dashrath Maharaj lost his peace. Why? Because he was a king. And to continue the dynasty, he needed a boy. He didn't so much desire for a girl. The reason being that the girl would marry in some other dynasty, which is fine, but what would happen to his dynasty? So this thing was bothering him so much. So then he thought that maybe if he marries one more time to another queen, maybe he'll get a son. So he married Sumitra Devi. Now Sumitra Devi, Kaushalya at least had a daughter. Sumitra Devi had no children, no child at all. So then he was getting old and he was getting worried. He finally, he gave up the idea of producing dynasties. But with time, he saw other kings doing yagyas, performing yagyas. So he thought, okay, maybe I should do a yagya to beget a child, a male child, because if I don't do so, the Kaushal, the kingdom of Kaushal is going to be broken. Now, what happened at this kingdom of Kaushal actually is also, it starts from Dalai Lama's line, from up in the north in Tibet, all the way down to the river of Godavari in Andhra Pradesh. So pretty much covering the whole of India, but at that time, that India, not the present day India, the Vedic India we're talking about. So he was very worried that this kingdom will be broken to pieces. And some small, it will be taken up by some small emperors, and, it's going to be a total waste. And he was very worried about it. So the Muni Vashishta, he came and he advised him to go to Kekai. Kekai was the name of a place. It is a kingdom on the border of Afghanistan. Presently, it is known as Sindh. Then there, the name of the king was also Kekai, and he had a daughter by the name of Kekai. So King Dashrath, desired to marry Kekai in order to have a male child on the advice of Vashishta Muni. Now this king, Kekai, he was very smart. He said that you already have 2 queens, okay? They both have no children for now. But what, after marrying my daughter, they'll have children, then who's going to be the king? My daughter's child or those children? So Dashrath Maharaj said, it's been so long. They've not had a child. I don't think so that they'll have children anymore. But what do you want me to do? So King Kekai said, okay, in that case, I want you to give it to me in writing that the son of my daughter is going to be the king. So there is a system called, the way it's a dowry system. When a girl gets married, it's all, now changed. That's not how it used to be. In the Kshatriya families, the Kshatriya who would marry the girl would write something would give something which is called Kanya Shulk. That Kanya Shulk means basically when you marry a girl, you should give it in writing what all properties is she going to enjoy as the wife of a Kshatriya. It got so perverted that it turned into dowry system. That is when the daughter is getting married, the parents of the daughter had to give that. Perverted. Anyway, so this Kanya Shulk was asked by Kekai. So Kekai, the king of Kekai, asked Dashrath Maharaj to write it down. And Dashrath Maharaj wrote it that whoever is born to Kekai will enjoy my kingdom, even if my other wives produce children later. So this Kanya Shulk was known only to three people: Maharaj Dashrath, Vashisht Muni, and King Kekai. And it was kept as a secret. Why was it a secret? Because they did not want people to blame a Dashrath for giving his kingdom to the youngest wife. To begin with, in the beginning only if this would be out. So they just kept it a secret, and it was a word of trust that yes, if this is how it is going to work it out. But Kekai was very dear to her father. So King Kekai, at the time of Vidai, at the time of her leaving for the palace of Dashrath Maharaj, he ended up telling Kekai that this is the deal that he had with Dashrath Maharaj. She did not mention it then to Dashrath Maharaj that she was aware of this Kanya Shulk statement. So then, but she kept it to her heart. She didn't say anything. Now, but she was aware. So once what happened? Vashisht Maharaj, Vashisht Muni advised Dashrath Maharaj to perform an Ashwamedha Yajna. He said that if you perform an Ashwamedha Yajna, the demigods will personally come and they will accept the oblations. Now there are two kinds of sacrifices. In one, one type of sacrifice, what happens is there are the fire god Agni. He accepts the oblations and he offers it in different destinations. Another type of yajna is when devas, they personally come and accept the oblations. So he said that the devas, they themselves will come and they are going to bless you to have a child, a male child, after they accept the oblations by fire god produced in the fire there. So Dashrath Maharaj, he saw that, okay, he should perform Ashwamedha, then all the devas will come. So then, when this was happening, Dashrath Maharaj thought that I'm going to tell them that the devas, they get the part of the oblation. So he said, you are running this because of my kingdom, and why don't you let me continue my kingdom? So for me to continue my kingdom, please bless me so that I can have a son. So that was the plan. Now, there was another big arrangement for Ashwamedha Yajna. So now, and finally, this horse, what happens in Ashwamedha Yajna, the horse from the kingdom goes to different kingdoms, the border of different kingdoms. And if nobody stops him, then he is ready to move ahead. And if the border where he is, if somebody stops him, the king of that border has to fight back. So that was the system. So Ashwamedha Yajna, that was for that you have to select a horse, and that horse has to have certain qualities, like the ears have to be bent at a certain angle, the hooves have to have a certain shape, like that. So there's a whole description in Karma Kand that how you should select a horse for Ashwamedha Yajna. Now, and then once you set the horse, you put on his ear a leaf, a golden leaf on his head, saying that this horse belongs to King Dashrath. He will perform Ashwamedh Yagya, so everyone should donate liberally, and whoever stops this horse will have to meet the army of King Dashrath. So this horse will go around the whole world, and if anyone dares to stop him, then they will have to meet the army of King Dashrath. This was the deal. So now the Ashwamedh Yagya was already, it had started. When the Yagya was going on, Sumantra, he was the minister of Dashrath Maharaj, and he came to Dashrath Maharaj and he said, actually, I remember one incident when Sanat Kumar came to your assembly when you were a prince. So you can understand, Sumantra is very, very old, because he remembers this from the time when Dashrath Maharaj was a little boy, when he was a prince. So he said, when you were a prince, that time Sanat Kumar, Sanat Kumar, one of the 4 Kumaras, he had come to the assembly and he told, at that time Dashrath Maharaj was not married. So Sanat Kumar, he was visiting Dashrath Maharaj's father, actually, Aja. And Sanat Kumar, he made some predictions saying that Maharaj Dashrath will become very famous throughout the 3 worlds, and he will perform a Putra Kameshti Yagya. That is a sacrifice for begetting a son. So in this sacrifice, the Yagya Purush, the personification of fire, will come there and give him some sweet rice. And out of this sweet rice, Dashrath will get the Supreme Lord as his son. This was predicted by Sanat Kumar. So at that time, what happened? Dashrath Maharaj, he was unmarried prince. So, he was a brahmachari, and Sumantra, as we discussed, was very old. So he suddenly remembered that, yeah, this is going to happen. So he went and he told Dashrath Maharaj, he reminded him of this incident of Sanat Kumar visiting Maharaj Aja, his father, and making these predictions. So he said that you're supposed to perform Putra Kameshti Yagya. Why are you doing Ashwamedha Yagya? For begetting a son. So then there was a confusion over which Yagya should be performed, So in Treta Yuga, we know the way to achieve perfection was to do Yagya. Be it for material benefits, be it for spiritual realization, whatever. Anything, it has to be Yagya in Treta Yuga. Now Dashrath Maharaj got confused. He thought, oh, what am I supposed to do? So he went to Vasishtha Muni's ashram. He paid obeisances and he said, Guru Maharaj, we've already spent 60% of our treasury over this Ashwamedha Yagya. And now we come to know that this is not the proper Yagya to beget a son. I'm supposed to do Putra Kameshti Yagya. So Vasishtha Maharaj said, oh yeah. He also remembered that this prediction was made by Sanat Kumar. So he said it's not a very expensive yagya, but the condition to perform Putra Kameshti Yagya was that the priest, the one who's performing the yagya, he has to be a very special person. So that is the difficult person. And what is the special quality that that person should have? That person, he must have not seen a woman until the time of his marriage. So he was thinking, how is it possible? Because anybody who is born of a mother, and mother is a woman. So how is it that you have to find a person who's never seen a woman? How is that going to work till he gets married? So Dashrath Maharaj said that you must tell me where to find this person, to Vasishtha Muni. So Vasishtha Muni, he was a walking encyclopedia, right? So he knew everything. So he said, okay, there is one person like that. And Dashrath Maharaj said, who's that person? That was his question too, that how is it that he's born of a woman? How is it that he's not seen his mother? Where is this person? Where can I find him? So Vasishtha Muni told him the story of Rishaya Shranga. Now, who's Rishaya Shranga? He said, Shranga means horn, or a person possessing horns, and Rishaya means deer. So Rishaya Shranga means a human who possesses horns. So basically, a human being born with the horns of a deer. So Vasishtha Muni said that I will tell you the story of Rishaya Shranga. what happened long ago, long time back. Kashyap Muni is one of the progenitors. And when he would meditate on something, he would produce a child out of it. So one time he was meditating on the sunlight. And suddenly, while meditating on sunlight, he thought of a personality. So when he thought of that personality, that person would come into existence, right? So he would come out of his mind. And then Kashyap Muni, as we discussed, he was a progenitor. So this person who he was meditating, this personality who he was meditating upon, while meditating, this personality who he was thinking about while meditating on the sunlight was known as Vibon Daka. Vibon Daka. Vibon Daka, he came out of Kashyap's mind and he went deep into the forests of Madhya Pradesh, which is now famous as Chambal Valley. So many dacoits are there in the Chambal Valley. So that's where he went to perform his Ugra Tapasya, severe austerities. Now, he was performing severe austerities only for self-realization. So we can understand who got worried when he was performing sacrifices. Lord Indra. Lord Indra is always worried that whoever is performing any kind of sacrifice or austerity, any kind of austerity, any kind of tapa, Lord Indra gets worried that his position is going to be usurped. The person who's performing the austerity is doing it just to get the position of Lord Indra. Lord Indra got so worried. He was like, now what do I do? So he thought, so basically, actually, Lord Indra, he has a department. He has a secretary for this department to make sure that whoever is doing tapasya, what is the reason for the purpose of that tapasya? So he gives him the list of people who are performing tapasya, and then he sees that this is something to worry about, like that. So when he heard the name of Vibon Daga, he asked the secretary, what kind of tap is he doing? So he said, so the secretary informed him that the tapasya that he is doing is so severe that if he gets angry, the whole universe will burn. This is the potency of his tapobal. So then Lord Indra said, oh my God, so that means he's my candidate. I will have to work on him. Though he was thinking now how to distract him. His famous thing is that he would send some damsel to distract the tapasvi. He thought a lot, but he could not find a suitable candidate for this purpose for Vibondaga. So he thought, okay, let me go to Brahmalok. Now he cannot stay for too long in Brahmalok because of the time difference. If he stays too long in Brahmalok, when he comes back, half of his life is gone. So he went quickly to Brahmalok and he told Lord Brahma that, please, can you give me your best damsel? Now, the damsels in Brahmalok are devotees. They dance only for the pleasure of the deity of Vishnu that Lord Brahma is having. Okay, so they are devotees. But then Lord Indra asked for this damsel. One damsel, he said, give me best of your damsels. And Lord Brahma said, okay, quickly take this. And Harsha damsel, the name of the damsel was Harsha. Harsh, why? Because she was always smiling, happy. Harsh means to be happy. So now what happened was he sent him with Lord Indra. Now Lord Indra was thinking, how do I ask her to distract Vibondaga? But she is already in Brahmaloka. She could see what's going on. So she knew that Lord Indra doesn't need to fear from Vibondaga, because the purpose of Vibondaga was to not to usurp the position of Lord Indra. He was doing it just for self-realization. But as insecure Lord Indra is, he fell at the feet of Harsha and he said, please protect my position. So Harsha said, but you don't need to worry. I can see he's not like that. He doesn't want your kingdom at all. So he said, no. I want you to make sure that's not the reason for his tapasya. So she said, okay, let me see what can I do. Now, when she went to Vibondaga was so absorbed. He was, how can you distract the person? There are different ways. So you just catch hold of a weak point of a person and then you basically try to attack. She knew that Vibondaga was a very austere person, was performing sacrifices, doing mantra meditation. So she thought mantra is the way. So she started reciting mantras beautifully. Now, Vibondaga was so absorbed. Then when he heard the clear pronunciation of Vedic mantras, something that he had never heard before, he turned around to see who was chanting. And there she fell at his feet and she said that I want you to bless me with her child. And Vibondaga said, that's not possible. I am not going to get involved in this. I want to do my self-realization, my tapasya. And you just tell me whoever you want, I'm going to request that person to help you get a child. So Vibondaga said, no. So this Harsha said, no, 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 no. I don't want a child even from Lord Brahma. It's just you. I want a child from you. Can you please do that? So he said, I cannot do it, but I'll help you. How he said, personally, I'm not going to do it. But I'm going to make sure that you get a child. So she understood very clearly that he's not interested at all in her or in Lord Indra's position. But because he had promised her to help her, she was wondering that I don't want this child. He gave her some pot, and then he said that she said, I don't want the child myself. I was just doing to distract this. So she made by her potency, there was a deer, a transcendental deer there, and she made sure that the deer conceives. Now the deer gave birth to a child. Now this was all happening on a transcendental platform. So the pregnancy of the deer did not last long. Just the very next day, the deer delivered a child. Now when the child was delivered, it was a human child with the horns of a deer. Now, what happened was, he went, Vibondaga had already left after giving that pot to her, and she had given it to the deers through her transcendental potency. And now the deer started crying. The deer came to the ashram of Vibondaga and started crying. Vibondaga was thinking, what have I done? Earlier, this Mataji came. Now this deer is crying. What's going on? I want to do my tapasya. Why not they letting me do it? So then he asked the deer, because he had spent so much time there, so he could understand all this. So he asked the deer, "What's your problem? And what's wrong with you? Why are you in trouble? And why are you crying? Who's giving you trouble?" So the deer asked him to follow. The deer moved, and this Vibondaga followed him. He went to the place where this little boy, baby boy, human boy with the deer horns of the deer was born. And Vibondaga could understand that this was my son. So he said, oh, this is my son. So if nobody wants him, then I will take care of him. So then Vibondaga thought that now that I've sent, now I understand that why I have been sent here. There is a purpose. I was supposed to conceive this son, and only God knows what is he going to do, with this. So he thought that, okay, this is my child, and he gave him milk, from the animals, cows and stuff, and he was taking care. And this was named as Risha Shranga, as we discussed. Shranga means horns, and Risha means the deer. So the boy with the horns of a deer. He grew up. So that's how he did not see a woman, because he grew up with his father in the jungle. When he was born, the mother was not there. Amazingly, by Krishna's arrangement, the animals also there. I mean, he had not seen a female figure in the form of a human ever, because he was up there, all the animals were there, right? So that's how Vibondaga was raising him. He was so dependent on his father. Unless his father would tell him to say yes for a thing, he wouldn't do. If his father wouldn't say him yes to brush his teeth, he wouldn't brush his teeth. If his father wouldn't ask him to read something, he wouldn't, because he was training him to be a brahmachari, and he taught him all the mantras, all the shastras, whatever books his father would ask him to do, he would read. Now, in this way, Rishi Ranga, he grew up to be the most innocent person in creation. And Lord Ramchandra, he had to appear. And if he was to appear, then the Yagya Purush has to give the kheer that Mother Kaushalya and Kekayi and Sumitra drank. And from there, Lord Ramchandra appeared. But if the kheer had to come, then the yajna had to be performed. And if the yajna had to be performed, it had to be performed by a person who had never seen a woman till he got married. So Lord Ramchandra's, his appearance was not that easy. Huh? So this whole story is where it is present in Vishnu Puran. So like this, Rishi Shranga was growing up, never heard of a woman ever. And then Dashrath Maharaj, now coming back to Dashrath Maharaj, when his daughter was born to Kaushalya, he was thinking, what shall I do with this daughter? Then one day, Angadesh, the country of Anga, Dashrath's friend by the name of Ramapad, the word Ramapad means one with hairy feet. He was hankering for a child too. He had some sons, but he didn't have a daughter. So you know how this material world is. What you don't have, you want. So Dashrath Maharaj did not have a son, so he wanted a son. And this King Rampad, he didn't have a daughter, so he wanted a daughter. So you basically don't value what you have in this material world. This is applicable to all of us. That's how we are. We always hanker for what we don't have, and we lament for what we lose. This is what we do all the time. Anyway, so then this daughter, so this Angadesh, the king of Angadesh, Rampad king, he came and he told Dashrath Maharaj, because Dashrath Maharaj was his friend. So he said, how about you give your daughter to me? And Dashrath Maharaj was thinking, yeah, you're a very good friend of mine, and you have sons, you don't want a daughter, you don't have a daughter, and I don't have any sons, and this daughter is of no use to me. So, okay, if you so desire, you can have my daughter. Okay. He just gave away his daughter like this to Rampad king. Now, Rampad king, he brought Shanti, which was the daughter of Kaushalya and King Dashrath, to his kingdom. Now, it was her misfortune or the misfortune of the kingdom, don't know, but that year, it just did not rain. So, no rain, no crops. 1 year went by. Second year, again, no rain. So, kind of famine was going on, and the king was thinking, what is this? So, the king went to the astrologer and he asked, what is the reason for the famine in my kingdom? Is it because of this daughter that I brought? So everyone is telling him, this is the result of this daughter that you brought. So they found out that during some yajna that had been performed by Rampad king, he had cheated a Brahmana. He had first promised the Brahmana that I will give you this much amount of diamonds. But while he was counting the diamonds to be given as dakshina, he found one diamond which was very valuable, and he thought, what is the Brahmana going to do with this? So he took it out and he put a bigger diamond in its place, but of less value. So he gave that bag of diamonds to the Brahmana. The Brahmana touched the bag and he said, you cheated me. You removed one of these diamonds and put a bigger one to cheat me of less worth. So it was inside the bag, and the king was thinking, how does he know? How did he figure it out? So the Brahmana said, I'm a Brahmana, so I know this. You are cheating. So all the Brahmanas will leave your country. So he formed a big union, and all these Brahmanas, they walked out of the country. Now no more Brahmanas to perform the yajna. So no more yajna. In Treta Yuga, as we discussed, everything is based on the yajna. That's how you achieve perfection. So no yajna means no food, no crops, right? No vegetation, nothing. So the king was wondering, oh God, now what do I do? So slowly from here and there, he collected some Brahmanas from other countries and he brought them on immigration. So they couldn't stay long. The Brahmanas were coming and going, and in this way, he was running his kingdom. Now, the famine had come due to this curse and the fact that all the Brahmanas had left his country. So now the astrologer said, to solve this problem, you will have to bring all the Brahmanas back. So Rampad said, but these Brahmanas, they have formed a union and they are not coming back. They will come back. Rampad, he asked, how are they going to come back? So he said, if you bring one person, they will come back. So Rampad said, who? Which person? Who is he? So he said, there is a rishi. He has never seen a woman. And if he doesn't even know what is a and he doesn't even know what a woman is, that person, he must come and marry your daughter. That means Rishi Shringa was to marry Shanti, who was actually the daughter of Dashrath Maharaj and Kaushalya. So this is how the story is going. Now, if that Rishi stays in your kingdom, Rampad said, then the Brahmanas will not stay anywhere else. They would want to be here. They will come here because he's such a learned person. To see him, they will definitely come. And after they come, they will stay. So now he had to get this Rishi Shringa. And he was thinking, how do I get him? So he asked his ministers, and they said, Rishi Shringa is not an easy object because his father, Vibondaka, because of his father, Vibondaka. And if Vibondaka gets angry, then the whole universe is burnt to ashes. So if you try to get his son, he will get very angry. And there is no necessity of yagya or rain because the whole universe will burn anyways. And you will also be burned. So what's the point? So what to do? The king asked, So the minister said, you will have to use some trick. This is not going to work in a very direct way. We'll have to think about something. So they advised him that you must go and consult the girls, the society girls, as to how to distract him. So he said, okay. He made an announcement. All the girls came and he took everybody's interview, and they all heard about Rishi Shringa, and they also heard about Vibondaga. So they were, not all of them were ready to sacrifice themselves. But however, one lady came up and she said, okay, for the benefit of my country, I will sacrifice myself. I will try. If he comes, that's good. Then the kingdom will be happy. If he doesn't, then it's okay. Just one person, I'm going to be killed. So what's the problem? I don't care. I'll go. So Rampa said, but what do you want in return? What are you going to do? What are you going to do this for? So she said, I don't want anything. I just want the country to be happy. So he said, what help do you need? Rampat said. So he said, your treasury, whenever I go, must open. And if I want anything from any department, they must say yes, because you must know I am sacrificing my life. So the king gave her a special green card and said, okay, wherever, anywhere she would go, anything she wants, she would get. Now she made a boat which was 4 miles long and 2 miles wide. Now on the top of that boat, she made an ashram. This boat was totally covered with trees and bushes, flowers, gardens, lakes, a complete little city she had made. All kinds of things she put in there. And thousands of people were rowing the boat, but you couldn't see anything. It was all covered by bushes. There were pathways, small mountains, waterfalls, everything was created. It looked like a little island, but it was moving. A moving little island. So no one knew what it was. All this was on the top of a boat. So you can imagine what a mystical creation she had made. Now, they all thought that it was the Gandharvas who have come. It was a special ashram. No men. Only women were there. No tigers, only tigresses. It was filled up with women. They had all the Rudrakshas, Tulsi Mala, jasmine flowers tied up in their hair, and they were all praying, doing meditation and chanting mantras. This boat was floating so nicely down the river, and somehow or the other it got to Madhya Pradesh. Now, as they reached Vibondaka's ashram, Vibondaka went out to help a sage who had gotten stuck in the mouth of an elephant. He was calling, save me, and no one heard him, only Vibondaka. So he told Rishi Shringa, you must perform yagya 3 times daily. Don't worry about cleaning the ashram because it's too big for you. Just perform the yagyas till I get back. When Vibondaka left, the demigods made arrangements and got him involved in so many other things that Rishi Shringa was left by himself. Now Rishi Shringa went to the river to take water for the yagya, and he saw this moving ashram. He had never been anywhere, but he'd studied a lot of Shastra, and he'd never heard of anything like this before. And whenever the description came of women, Vibondaga would never explain it. He would just skip those parts. And he was actually kept brainwashed to be a brahmachari. Now, he saw some figures in that ashram, in the moving ashram, right? So he had never seen a woman. So he thought that this is so nice. What is this? I've never seen anything like that. So he was thinking, what? He was such an innocent child. He thought he is a rishi. Everybody else is a rishi. His father is a rishi. So he was thinking, what kind of rishis are these? This is a different type of rishi. So he became very curious to know what is this. So anyway, he was thinking, if they are in the area, they must visit my father's ashram. And that's what they wanted. So they came. They just made sure that Vibondaga was not around. And then 3 of the great saintly people walked out of the boat, and then they came and raising their hands, they were calling Rishi Shranga, Rishi Shranga. Usually when the rishis came, they would call out for his father, Vibondaga. So he saw that the rishis were coming and he went and he addressed them. Who are you? Which planet are you from? What mantras do you chant? How come by the touch of your bodies all my hairs are standing on the end? Why am I having such romance? Why am I having such feelings? So they were smiling at each other and they said that we are rishis from another palace, another place. And that is 8 yojnas away from here. It is an island and no human beings come there. We are born with perfection. We came to see your father. We know that you are very learned. So in our moving ashram, we want you to come and stay with us for a few days. Rishi Shranga said, I would be very happy to do that. But my father is not here. I don't even brush my teeth unless my father tells me to. How will I go from here? And who will perform the yagyas 3 times daily? So one lady said, I will do it. I'm expert in this line. And she sat down. Somehow Rishi Shranga, he fell prey for this and these were the saintly persons. So why should, he was thinking, these are saintly people. So why shouldn't they do the yagya? And they looked different, very attractive. So he couldn't understand what was it that was coming or attracting him. So he didn't know that this was actually all the plan, right? Now, he left and that lady was performing the yagya. They had a flower ladder from the ashram up to the bank of the river. This ashram was filled with saintly people. So somehow they engaged him in listening to music, dancing, and many other things. And slowly they came to Angadesh, where Rampad was there, King Rampad, right? In Angadesh, there was a big reception arranged for Rishi Shranga, Brahmachari. And there was Purna Kumbha, and there were mantras, there were brahmanas, all different kind of things waiting to welcome, and different kinds of people waiting to welcome Rishi Shranga. The brahmanas all came to know that Rishi Shranga was coming and they came and waited there. He was worshipped like anything. He saw more saintly people were sitting there in that country and they were sitting with other saintly people. Then he started realizing that something was wrong in his understanding and he asked the king, why have you brought me here? But as soon he stepped off the boat, rain came and people were all happy. So that's what they wanted, the rain, remember? They were all happy. They were showering akshata and touching his feet. And all the people came and told him, you must never leave our country. You must become the son-in-law of our king. He didn't know what son-in-law meant. So then they had to have a special classes for him to explain how to become a son-in-law. Then he understood everything. And finally, he blessed the king by marrying Shanti. And who was this Shanti? This Shanti was the daughter of Dashrath Maharaj and Kaushalya. And in the meantime, Vibondaga had returned to his ashram. And he saw this lady sitting there and offering ghee into the fire. He grabbed her by hair and said, who are you? What are you doing with my sacrificial fire? It's been here for 6,000 years and you came and you contaminated everything. What are you doing here? So she said, I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul. So Vibondaga said, yes, that's very nice. But then it's good that you're not this body, but you're not supposed to do this. So she said, Actually, Rishi Shranga asked me to do this. So the mention of the name of Rishi Shranga was like that brought an alarm to him, and he said, what happened to him? What did you do with him? Where is he? And he asked too many questions. You spoiled the only pure, man on this planet. Where is he? Where did he go? And he was asking all these questions. And this lady said that, what could we do? This was a nationalistic service. We were serving the nation. In the service of our nation, we have done something, so we can go back to heavenly planet. So Vibondaga said, I'm going to curse the king of Angadesh. He's getting rain, but I will see that he gets nothing anymore. So the lady fell at his feet and he said, at least do the curse there. Then he will know that you're cursing him. Don't do the curse from here. So Vibondaga said, all right. He was so angry, but Rampad was so clever. He was arranging for many brahmanas, chanting mantras, glorifying Vibondaga, showing pictures of Kashyap Muni just to attract him. But Vibondaga came and said, where is the king? Bring him here. So he came and he begged forgiveness. Please don't curse me. Please don't curse me. Already I've had enough curses. All that I've done is that I have made your son the king of this country. So then something dawned on Vibondaga and he said, my son has become the king of this country. Now he has become the king. He has to protect the citizens. If I curse, then the blame is going to be on him because he couldn't protect his citizens. So then he called his son, Rishi Shranga, come here. So Rishi Shranga came and Vibondaga said, all right, as soon as one son is born, you must be back in the ashram. You understand? So this was the time when Dashrath was told by Vasishtha Muni the story, and Vasishtha said that if you personally go, then Rishi Shranga may come. So Dashrath started with all his paraphernalia, his 7 Akshani Senas, and arrived in Angadesh. And Rampad king was thinking, what is this? Suddenly why Dashrath is coming here with his army? He is going to fight with me or what? So he came with a white flag. So there is no question of your army, even for the army to stay in my country. Your army is so big that they can only just stand inside my country, not much more. Why are you coming with 7 Akshani Senas? Dashrath said, no, I'm not coming here to fight with you. I just have a request for Rishi Shranga to come and perform a yagya for me. So Rampa said, I don't know. Already his wife is pregnant, and as soon as the son is delivered, he will go. I don't know how long the yagya will be. I'm not going to play any more tricks because already Vibondaga has told him, one son and you're back in the ashram. Dashrath said, I will fall at his feet. He has protected your kingdom. Why will he not save my country too? Why will he not do it? So Dashrath, he went there, paid his pranams, and he cried and told Rishi Shranga, I have no hope. I will jump in the fire of Ashwamedha Yagya instead of the horse if you don't come. So then Rishi Shranga calculated how many days are left. So it was 28 days more before the delivery. That's all right. In 24 days, I will come and do the Putra Kameshti for you. So he came, and right next to Ashwamedha Yagya, he created another fire. From that, he quickly started Putra Kameshti, and then he was finishing with the Putra Purna Ahuti. The Yagya Purush came, a dark black figure, which was 3 miles tall. He had a huge big pot in his hand, and he said to Dashrath, please give this sweet rice to your queens. Dashrath was looking at the size of the pot and was thinking, if I give this to my queens, then there will be no more queens. It was huge big pot. Dashrath asked Vasishtha, how is this possible? How can they eat this much sweet rice? So Vasishtha Muni said, you ask Rishi Shranga and he will tell you. Rishi Shranga asked the Yagya Purush, why are you giving such a big pot to these human beings that they cannot even hold it? The Yagya Purush said, the personality who is coming is so powerful that you can reduce him smaller than this. Then Rishi Shranga closed his eyes and said, bigger and the biggest and the smaller and the smallest. He is in this pot. You give it to me. So he took the pot and it became small. Then by the request of Rishi Shranga, the Lord reduced his Aishwarya and the pot became small. And he gave it to Dashrath and said, all right, I have 2 days to get onto my ashram. In between, I have to take care of the delivery. So Dashrath took the sweet rice. He gave half of it to Kaushalya. The remainder half, he split into two, one for Sumitra and one to Kekai. And after Kekai drank it, there was still some left. So that was also given to Sumitra. In this way, the Lord came as Lord Ramchandra. In Kaushalya's womb, he came as Lakshman and Shatrugna in Sumitra's womb, and he became as Bharat in Kekai's womb. So Vasudev came as Ramchandra, Sankarshan came as Lakshman, Sudarshan disk came as Bharat, and Panchajanya conch shell, Lord's conch shell, came as Shatru. So this is the appearance of Lord Ramchandra. This is how Lord Ramchandra was appeared. So at this point, I would like to end, and if anybody has any questions, we can take from him. Any questions? All right. Yes.
It was a good class, and my whole family heard the class.
Oh, that's so very nice. Please continue coming for the classes.
You're welcome.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
I'm Param's mom. Thank you so much for the beautiful story. And I was not at all aware, Shri Ram was having a sister. So why it is not mentioned, like in any other grantha,
It is there in Vishnu Puran, Mataji. And Srila Prabhupada has mentioned it in his lectures, but this story that I was telling you is coming from Srila Prabhupada's lectures only, some untold stories from Ramayana.
Okay.
But this whole pastime, this whole story is in Vishnu Puran.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. All right. So I think we'll end here and then we will resume next Wednesday. See you all then. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Today we will know more about Rama's family.
Yes, Mataji. We all learn every day something new.
Yeah, I didn't hear about this story, Mataji.
I was also very amazed to learn so many details about Lord Ram's appearance, but it was very interesting. I found it, so I thought I'll share it with the little kids.
Yeah, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. I also heard about all the story.
Sure, that's nice. Okay, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Haribol.
Haribol.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for a very nice story. Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Ramchandra ki jai. This man Munshi Mataji ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Hari.
No, Hari Hari.
Vaishnav Vrind ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Guru Maharaj.